Welcome back to the Hood News Fantasy Football Podcast. This is episode 94. I have my dog with me here, MFB.
Yes, sir.
And we had BBTB in here, but technical difficulties. He's recording on his phone, caveman type activities, and he couldn't get it done. So he will not be joining us today, but we'll have him on the next episode, hopefully. We're going to go ahead and give you guys the waivers. A couple teams on bye this week. Chiefs, Bengals. I don't remember the rest of them, but you guys probably need some players to fill up your lineups. So let's go ahead and jump into the QBs at the top. JJ McCarthy, who threw 3 touchdowns last week and beat the Lions. Only rostered in 29% of leagues. He leads the way for pickups for a pickup at quarterback. If you don't have him, get him. He could be a trade piece. If you need him this week, you could probably go ahead and start him, honestly. And his schedule rest of the season is pretty good. We've talked about how soft the Vikings schedule is. So, JJ McCarthy's top of the list.
Yeah, he's definitely top of the list for me too. Actually, one prospect I drafted, hoping he would come right out the gates. Then he was dealing with the injury, couldn't afford a bench spot for him. But definitely, rest of season, even this week against the Ravens, should be very serviceable.
Yeah, although I should say, the Ravens recently, I feel like their defense has actually been stepping up more than I have expected. But
slightly, but they played the Dolphins.
Yeah. This is true. But with the weapons he has, he should be able to get it done against the Ravens. A couple more names here. Jacoby Brissett. Yeah, he did his thing Monday night. He had a rush touchdown, 2 passing touchdowns. He's more of a desperation pickup. I wouldn't really be excited to pick up Jacoby Brissett.
Unless you're super desperate, like rest of season, I'm talking. Jacoby Brissett, I'm not that mad at, but streaming this week against Seattle is what I would be afraid of.
Yeah, Seattle's looked very good on the defensive end. So, very scary defense. I would not be excited to start Jacoby Brissett. Only rostered 9% of leagues, so he's available out there. You should be able to get him on your team. Last but not least, Marcus Mariota. Since Jaden Daniels out for, who knows how long, right? At least through the bye with a dislocated elbow. Marcus Mariota rostered in 5% of leagues, gets Detroit and then Miami before the bye week. So it could be serviceable. And he will sling it and try and get his thing done. He does rush, so he has that rushing upside.
Yeah, he'll have decent weeks for sure. Just depends on the matchup.
Yeah, so only 5% rostered. The only real QB that I would actually put Fab into to pick up would be JJ McCarthy. Brissett and Mariota are more like just waiver pickups, or even wait till they're free agents to pick them up. That's it for QB. Let's go ahead and move into wide receivers. At top of the list, Parker Washington, who really stepped up with no, what's that guy's name
Travis
again?
Hunter.
Travis Hunter, yeah, who's had a non-contact injury during practice last week, coming out of the bye. So he'll be out at least 4 games. He's on IR. So in his absence, Parker Washington stepped up. He had 9 targets, 8 receptions, 90 yards. This was against the Raiders, so temper expectations against Houston, Chargers, Arizona in the next 3 weeks. But he's definitely the primary beneficiary of no Travis Hunter. He's rostered in 18% of leagues. So he's still pretty available out there. So worth a stash, especially if you need some depth at wide receiver. Couple more names here. Cedric Tillman, who has been designated to return from IR for the Browns with a hamstring injury, only rostered in 11% of leagues. He was doing his thing before he got injured. He hasn't played with Dylan Gabriel, so we have yet to see how he would be. They are coming off the bye this week, and they get the Jets, so not the best matchup, but they get some pretty good matchups after that. So probably one of the better pass catchers in the Browns offense, so maybe worth the
Yeah.
stash.
It's just gonna be interesting to see how he works with Dylan Gabriel.
For sure.
But I don't know. It's a wait and see thing for me.
Yeah. Worth a stash, worth a pickup. Maybe not using a waiver claim unless it's a deeper league and people are very competitive and, the waivers are dry. These are just names to keep an eye out on. We're giving you the information that all the information that we have. And you can make the decision that works best for you in your situation. Couple more names here. Torrey Horton, who caught 2 touchdowns, 4 targets, 4 receptions, 58 yards, and 2 touchdowns against Washington in that Sunday night matchup. He's stepped up with no Cooper Kupp there. So if Cooper Kupp misses more time, he may be flex worthy, but it all depends on if Cooper Kupp is out. But he's a rookie, and so he could have a good second half of the season. So he's also worth stashing and just adding depth to your bench. One more name to shout out, Demario Douglas, who is a receiver on the New England Patriots. He had a good week against the Saints back in week 6. Got a touchdown this week. It seems the games that he catches a touchdown, he does well. But besides that, his games are, it's kind of roulette with the receivers there.
Yeah.
Although he did go for 100 yards on 4 receptions, 6 targets. So, and with the touchdown, so that he had a good week. So, but I'm not excited about picking up any New England pass catchers besides Diggs. Like none of them really I'm excited about. They just, like I said, it's roulette out there. So that's it for the receivers. How do you target these guys, MFB?
I would say must add if you need depth, Parker Washington for sure.
Okay.
I also really did like what I see from Torrey Horton, and I just kind of like the Seattle offense in general.
Okay.
DeMario, not too reliable. I don't even know if I would roster him. And Cedric Tillman is like deep league desperation type of thing. Just because I haven't seen how he is with Dylan Gabriel.
Okay. Yeah, these are players like you can just, if you want to take a stab on them, go ahead. But yeah, I like Parker Washington. He for sure will get work, especially with no Travis Hunter. Torrey Horton, especially if Cooper Kupp misses more time, being a rookie, and they're going to want to see what else he can do out there. So definitely worth an add. But that's it for wide receivers. Let's move on to the running backs. No significant injuries, no must add players this week, but just some players to keep an eye out on. Tank Bigsby, rostered in 27% of leagues. We know that the Eagles were on bye, and Saquon against the Giants that week kind of strained apparently it was his groin, some sort of groin injury. And then Tank Bigsby took over and did his thing that game. Apparently they were saying if Saquon wanted to go back in the game, he could have, blah, blah, blah. Either way, Tank Bigsby's only rostered in 27% of leagues. If you have Saquon, make sure you get Tank Bigsby. Even if you don't have Saquon, he's worth an add anyways. If anything happens to Saquon, he will get a lot of production, a lot of work. So potentially worth an add. Another name to throw out there, Dylan Sampson, rostered in only 17% of leagues. Judkins got injured also before the bye with a shoulder injury. But there was a note today, Monday, that Judkins is practicing. So if that's the case, it doesn't really look like it looks like he will play, and if he plays, then Dylan Sampson has pretty much no value. It's going to run all through Quinshon Judkins. So just something to keep an eye out on or pay attention to. Um, at least the practice reports for Quinshon Judkins this week. Couple more names on the list. Isaiah Davis, rostered in 14% of leagues, especially if they trade away
Brees.
Brees Hall. So his value would shoot up for sure if anything happened to Brees before the deadline. So just a name to keep in mind. Devin Singletary, who outsnapped Tyrone Tracy for the Giants this week. Worth an ad just because he is. I mean, they are sharing that backfield, but that offense moves a lot. So if he can get any goal line opportunities, it definitely would be worth having on your team. Last but not least, Terrell Jennings, who had 12 total touches to Travion Henderson's 18 touches. This is with Ramondre Stevenson out. He rushed 11 times, 35 yards and a touchdown. Worth a stash, maybe. Only rostered in 1% of leagues. He's just a player to keep an eye out on. If Ramondre misses another week, you could desperation flex play. But yeah, just a name to keep an eye out on. That's it for running backs. MFB, which of these do you care the most about, or do you not care much at all about any of these guys?
I would say, as of right now, I'd say, probably Devin Singletary is
Yeah.
like worth a stash to me.
Mm-hmm.
I guess also Tanks Bigsby, because that's like the big play type of dart throw. In case Saquon misses any time, well, there you go. You got the Eagles running back.
Yep.
Yeah, that's about all.
Yeah, I'm not excited about Dylan Sampson. Brees Hall doesn't look like they're trading him, so Isaiah Davis not really. Terrell Jennings, he got in the end zone, but it's not really worth much, especially if they give more work to Travion Henderson, and if Ramondre comes back from that toe injury. That's it for running backs. Let's move into tight ends at the very top. The obvious one, Colson Leveland, roster in 27% of leagues, who exploded in that Cincinnati or that game against the Bengals.
Yeah, this is like the ad of the week for sure.
Yep. He had 2 touchdowns. I don't have the exact stats in front of me, but granted, the Bengals were the number one matchup for tight ends. So if there was going to be a game that he would go off, it would have been that one, which he did. So he took advantage of the opportunity. 118 yards, 7 targets, 6 receptions, 2 touchdowns. But his schedule upcoming is actually not bad for tight ends. So he could continue to do his thing out there. So definitely worth an ad. A couple more names. Luke Musgrave, rostered in 1% of leagues. Tucker Kraft out for the season, unfortunately, for the Green Bay Packers. So Musgrave would kind of slot in and take over his kind of duties. And then if you're desperate, Juwan Johnson, who was hot, then cold, then now heating back up again. Caught a touchdown this weekend from Tyler Shuck, MFB's boy. So we're potentially worth an ad. He's like just a risky play, He could go out there and just do nothing. He could go out there and get a touchdown. So, but yeah, Loveland's definitely at the top of the list for obvious reasons. Musgrave kind of dart throw, Juwan Johnson kind of dart throw. If you need a tight end to start this week to stream, I don't even know who I would prefer. I'd probably take Musgrave, just a better quarterback over Juwan Johnson, and he's much less rostered, so easy to get.
Maybe. I wouldn't be mad at it, but I might just take Juwan just to have a good floor in some games.
Yeah,
That's kind of my thinking.
Yeah, I think either option, if you need a tight end this week, could be decent. I lean Musgrave's side because of Jordan Love being the pass thrower. That's it for tight ends. Anything else on any of these guys? Did I miss anyone?
No.
Okay, cool. let's move on to some kicker options and defenses. For kickers, Cairo Santos, the Chicago Bears kicker. The Chicago Bears have been putting up a lot of points, so he's getting a lot of opportunities to just kick, and so he's been scoring pretty well these last few weeks. I expect him to continue that trend against the Giants. So Carlos Santos should be a solid play this week. Jason Myers, the Seattle Seahawks kicker, that defense is killing it, and Sam Darnold is looking like a stud. So that offense will be moving the ball a lot, and they just came off their bye week, so you could roster Jason Myers rest of season, and you'll never have to swap out your kicker if he continues to play well. Only rostered 28% of leagues, so pretty widely available. Both those guys are decent. Both those guys have actually had their bye weeks, so yeah, same for both those guys. Let's move on to some defense options. You can play the New York Jets versus Cleveland. You can play the other side, Cleveland versus the Jets, especially if Justin Fields is the quarterback. I feel like Myles Garrett would just completely tear that fool apart. And then Carolina plays the Saints with Tyler Shuck. You basically target the Saints anytime any defense is playing against the Saints, target that team. And the Carolina Panthers just shut down the Green Bay Packers. They beat them 16-13. So that defense is looking pretty good.
Yeah.
So all those options available. Take whichever one works best for you. But that does it for the defenses. I don't have the roster percentages for these, but Carolina, 3% rostered Carolina. Cleveland was on bye, so they're not heavily rostered. Same with the Jets. Cleveland's what? I actually don't have the numbers for the roster percent. 33% rostered. Like you should be able to get most of these. And they're all three are good options. That does it for defenses, and that does it for the waiver episode. Anything else, MFB, that you want to go over?
No, that's all.
Okay, cool. That'll do it for the waiver episode, guys. Hopefully you can use the information from the episode to pick up the players that you need. If you're unsure of whether or not who you should drop for any of these players, let us know. Don't just go out there and be like, oh, that player seems good, I'm going to go pick him up. And you're in like a 12-man league and you end up dropping someone that is more valuable. Sometimes it's just not worth it to roster some of these guys. So you don't have to make a pickup each week, so make the decision that's best for your team. If you're not sure, just ask us, reach out to us in the Discord, and we'll let you know. But that'll do it for this episode, and we will see you guys on the next one.